Hey, what up, y'all? I have another episode. What I like to call "F around and find out." Um, Unfortunately, whether y'all like it or not, there's gonna be a lot of effing around and finding out. Unfortunately, deal with these tariffs. Now, I done did 3 episodes of how we gonna f around and find out. I am now in what I like to call episode number 4 of F Around and Find Out. And once again, shout out to Lovely T, who's basically been sounding the alarm, so to speak. Um, this is about the tariffs and what's going on with truckers and what's going on at the ports. Let's get into it, shall we? And again, shout out to Lovely T.
Hey Tea Sippers, good morning. I hope everybody's doing good today. I know it's been a few days since I've been on camera, but I wanted to come on here and do a follow-up on my last video. If you guys remembered, I had told you guys that this was about 7 days ago that the ports were starting to empty out. There weren't as many ships coming to port. There wasn't a lot of things being taken off of the ships, and so I've been sounding the alarm for a while. But the last video was sounding the alarm, like, you know what? This is going to take a big effect now that we're seeing that the docks are emptying out. Well, now it's been a week later and it's gotten worse, okay? So now what the reports are saying is that there are 35% less goods now in the month of May 2025 than there was a year ago. So that means because there's less goods coming into America, that's going to be a lot less goods going onto the shelves. That's going to affect the food supply, clothing, toiletries, things that we need. Now, it's not being hugely felt right now because it's in the early stages, but even if you go to your local stores, you are seeing
it's going to be felt real soon if y'all ain't feeling it already.
I went to Costco's this weekend and it was jam-packed. When I tell you folks were stocking up on rice and beans and, all types of stuff, we're shopping as well. So it's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. The truckers are now speaking out. Now let's make this clear. There were a lot of truckers for Trump. And so even a lot of them are speaking out. And they're saying, there's a lot of layoffs coming. They're going up to the docks. They're going to these companies. There's no loads. So, when the truckers are speaking out, the shit is definitely about to hit the fan. Along with the truckers feeling the pinch, dock workers are also being sent home because there's nothing to unload. So this is now affecting the longshoremen, who I said in that last video went on strike, and now a lot of them are being laid off or being told to go home, and if we get more supply, then we'll let you come back. But this is really taking a toll on a lot of industries. Since these tariffs were implemented earlier this year, what's happening is that a lot of companies, they're not purchasing as much because they don't know how much it's going to cost them, or they can't afford the new tariffs being tacked on. Once again, like me and many people have been saying, these tariffs are not being paid by some mysterious person in China.
They're being paid by us.
Company. The tariffs are being paid by us, the U.S. consumers. That is how it's always been. So, all that have faith and eventually, China will cut a check. Y'all need to grow up and really understand.
And tell you the truth, China don't even need us to trade with anybody. They got Australia, they got Japan, they got the European Union. They don't need to trade with us. And I hope that some of y'all will wake up and realize that.
What is going on here? This is not only affecting us, this is a global issue, okay?
Talk about
because
it.
Even in China, they're also having issues. A lot of those factories in China are having to shut down. People are protesting because they have no work. And at least here in America, some companies will give you a severance, some just give you a pink slip. But in China, they're not even getting their last check. At least here, you'll get your last paycheck. In China, they're coming in and saying, hey, factories closed, we have no orders, times are tough, go home. Okay, that's fine, but can I get my last check? And they're telling the Chinese people, no, ain't no money. So it is getting real out here. So we're going to go ahead and watch some clips. We're going to watch some truckers speaking, dock workers, and a few other clips as well. Also, Donald Trump did an interview yesterday. We're going to watch that. So it is definitely getting real out here. Again, I am not fear-mongering. For y'all who love to write that in my comment section, I am speaking the truth, and I am making sure that my tea sippers are informed. What the rest of the people want to do, that's y'all's business, okay? But if you are a tea sipper, I'm going to put you up on game. I'm going to let you know what's going on, so that way you can prepare not only yourself, but your families.
Drugs stop moving. What happens next? It started quietly. April 1st, no headlines, no sirens, just silence. Since that day, imports from China have dropped by 36%. At the Port of Los Angeles, down 35%. 80 ships canceled or arrived empty. Across the highways of America, it's even worse. Freight volumes have plunged 14.9%. Thousands of truckers with no cargo, no paycheck, no backup plan. Volvo just laid off 800 American workers. Independent drivers, the ones who keep this country alive, are watching their businesses collapse overnight. Here's the cruel twist. 90% of these truckers voted for Donald Trump in 2024. 90%. And now he's gutting the very industry they built their lives around. Not just truckers, dock workers, small business owners, entire towns, all paying the price for a silent economic wreck no one is talking about. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about survival. When the wheels of America stop turning, who will be left standing?
Small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
Many businesses are being helped.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the...
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
90% of students with a 4.0... you pick up a couple of little businesses. What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Fain, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what's Trump's done for the automobile? But I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't he mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your product here. It's very...
You idiot. How many times have people told you over the years we do not have the infrastructure or the logistics for that at this time? In order for us to get the logistics for that, it would take 10 years, you jackass. God, you're a jackass, Trump.
Easy. It's very simple.
This literally makes no sense. Like, do you understand how long it takes to bring manufacturing to the U.S.? There's companies out here like Lego. They wanted to build a manufacturing plant in the U.S. They started the plans in 2021. It is now 2025, and guess what? They've had to push the plans back until about 2027. It's not something that can just happen overnight. A lot of small businesses, yes, they may operate in the U.S., but they are getting the supplies from where? China, okay? Like, China is the world's, they make everything for the world. So for him to just act like, stroller makers can just start making strollers in America, and that there's all these pieces in America that they can get to make strollers, that's crazy, and it's going to be twice as much. That's why everybody goes to China to get everything made, because it's a lot cheaper in China, because they don't necessarily have to pay their workers livable wages.
No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry, well,
Who pays tariffs?
Sorry,
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
He wants to answer other questions.
well, Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say,
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
it's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay tariffs, right? I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary.
It's not a complicated answer. Tariffs are taxes placed on the people ordering. There's no complication. And the fact that he's stuttering and turning into a mush mouth, because he knows he's lying through his teeth.
Exactly.
Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time, so I'll ask one more time. Who pays tariffs?
Sir, the history would show that it is a complicated mix of who pays the tariffs over various stops.
So that's exactly the problem. If you're answering, you're a very educated person, you have a very impressive bio, cannot answer the question who pays tariffs because you won't answer that, and you say it's a complicated issue. It's not complicated. Consumers pay Trump's tariff tax. That's the reality.
I mean, that is such an easy answer, and the fact that he's stuttering, bumbling, and he can't bring himself to just say, the American people pay tariffs. That is who pays it. It is not complicated. It is etched in stone. Again, it just shows you how dishonest a lot of these people in power are being. And, you know, people making excuses and thinking that China's going to cover these tariffs. You guys are effing around and finding out.
Yep.
They're not paying anything. We are.
Welcome to an updated list of everything increasing in cost thanks to Donald's tariffs. Cars, steel, aluminum, and lumber. All seafood, coffee, toilet paper, alcohol, peanuts, all dairy products, candy, all clothes, video games and video game consoles, all smartphones, furniture like couches and mattresses, houses. You thought you might not ever own a house? Well, now you really won't ever own a house. You were actually right about something for the first time in your life. Congratulations, you are not going to own a home. I'm just kidding, you could one day, but it's going to cost you a leg. But what's one limb when you've already lost your soul because of capitalism? And here are some brands that have announced that they're raising their prices to combat these tariffs. Target, Temu, and Shein, Ford and Ferrari, Newegg, ASOS, Adidas, Conagra. This is all happening because people don't understand tariffs, alright? The importing country, that would be us, or the ones that pay for the cost of the tariffs. The consumers do. Not the businesses, okay? Us consumers. As always, this list is ever changing and ever growing, unfortunately for us. So if you want to hear about what else is going to cost you a leg, let me know. Follow for more.
Truck driver. The sad thing is 90% of these truck drivers voted for Trump in the 2024 election. And it doesn't stop there. The whole shipping industry is under attack by Trump. They are collapsing right now, guys, and no one is talking about it. Since April 1st, imports from China have dropped 36%. Ports like Los Angeles are reporting a 35% plunge in cargo. At least 80 cargo ships have gone, canceled, diverted, or are empty. Inside the United States, freight volumes have crashed 14.9% compared to last year. Thousands of truck drivers are now losing loads and losing jobs. Volvo just announced layoffs. 800 American workers are being cut. Independent truckers, the people we keep America running with, are barely surviving. Here's the hardest part. The truck drivers were some of Donald Trump's strongest supporters. 90%, guys, 90% of them voted for Trump. And look how he's treating them. This is insane. I mean, I don't understand. This isn't about politics anymore. This is about an American economic collapse happening right before our eyes. And who's paying the price? Truckers, dock workers, small businesses, all of our families.
They sure are.
So CEOs are telling me, hit the pause button, right? I'm not going to import any more at these kind of prices. Let's wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 weeks until I get some clarity. Then hiring off the table for right now. Capital investment, pause. And the retailers are telling me that realistically, with even at 10%, I'm going to have to pass it on to the consumers.
How much is this really coming from all over? It's not just about China. This is about really global trade coming to a standstill until there is a much greater degree of certainty and a much lower tariff rate than even the baseline.
The Port of Los Angeles is the busiest in the Western Hemisphere, but now it's preparing for a dramatic slowdown, according to Executive Director Gene Soroka.
What do you anticipate happening over the next couple of weeks? In 2 weeks' time, Carter, we'll see a drop on our import side of the business by about a third. It could be as much as 40% the week to follow. Most American importers are saying that they're stopping shipments out of China because they simply weren't going to pay 2.5 times the cost of the goods.
With a 145% tariff, a container of Chinese goods worth $100,000 will now cost importers an extra $145,000.
With information coming out of Washington seemingly by the hour, it's tough to get a line of sight on what's next. Inventory on hand right now in the United States will last for about 6 to 8 weeks. After that, shelves will be bare. We won't be able to buy as much online.
All of these games come from China.
At the Game Chest, owner Mariam Al-Hamami has been stockpiling toys and games that arrived before the tariffs.
So I'm buying what I think I will sell between now and September.
You sound like a hoarder.
I feel like a hoarder. If you see my stores, you would see the hoarding in the back rooms.
80% of her merchandise comes from China, and board games are her biggest sellers. Seems like you should be able to make a board game in the U.S.
It's true, it does look easy, but it's filled with lots and lots of different parts and pieces. And
isn't that what I was saying earlier? That, Trump makes it seem like it's just easy and people just need to, build, the small businesses need to start building and manufacturing in the U.S. But the problem is, it is cheaper to get things overseas in China. Because these same pieces, these same products would be twice as much here in the U.S. And it's going to take a while to build that infrastructure. Like this woman, does she even have the funds to start manufacturing her own products? I highly doubt that. So it's a lot of moving parts that go into, creating things and then selling them. It's not just about moving manufacturing to the U.S.
And there's just not enough manufacturing here to be able to do that successfully.
At this point, even if the tariffs are reduced significantly,
it'll still take about 10 days to 2 weeks to get these ships back in line over in China. Then it's a 2-week trip here to LA. So we're starting to cut it pretty close with respect to inventory in the U.S.
So we might see some empty shelves even if the tariffs are brought down in the next couple of weeks.
We're running out of time on that, and if we have fewer items to select from, that's going to put a pinch on the American buyer.
Giving our customers an atmosphere of uncertainty, and so they're not ordering as much. You can see gaps in the container parking space.
He believes this has to do with the sweeping tariffs coming out of Washington. Abudi is the president of Oakland Maritime Support Services, a 15-acre truck parking and service facility for thousands of truckers coming to and from the Port of Oakland daily. But since new tariffs went into effect earlier this month, Abudi says things have been slower at their service facility.
We normally would come out to here with double loading because we're out of space. But now you can see I don't, and I have plenty of space there. And I also have a special project going on in the other half of my yard. And that's how slow it is. If I can't pay you, I can't keep you on the clock. So we are sending people home, and we hope that there's a return in business after this is settled.
Are you in there? Did I do it right? One of the Losties family just like you guys. Needed someone they could keep in special care.
What are you going to do to me?
Come on, we're leaving now.
Settled.
So it just shows you the trickle-down effect. He's the owner of that particular port, and he's saying if we're not getting in the goods and there's nothing for you to pick up, and I'm not getting paid, I can't then in return pay you. So again, now people are going to start seeing more and more layoffs.
Saw a 9% increase in imports in March, which Abudi believes was an attempt to beat the tariffs. In a statement, the Port of Oakland admits they have seen a slowdown.
We're being bullied to the rest of the world, and we need to learn to play nice. This is a chain, a logistical chain. So the longshoremen are going to feel it because there's going to be less cargo. We're going to feel it because we pull the containers, so we take them to warehouses.
warehouses, they're going to feel it because they don't need those warehouse people. And then the ultimate is going to be the consumer. We're going to feel it in our wallet. That dollar's not going to go far. Giving our customers,
like I said again, the trickle-down effect.
Talk about it.
So people thinking it's not going to affect them. I remember people celebrating. Who remembers people celebrating when the federal workers were getting laid off? You had a lot of regular blue-collar people like laughing and joking. Well, now that wagon is swinging right back around. That's why I said, you know, you never laugh at somebody else's downfall because that same downfall could befall you.
Talk about it.
Supply chain is about to snap. Drivers pulled off the road, imports slowing, prices rising. You're about to feel it. It's going to be fast. Let's talk about the real consequences of the trucking crackdown and the tariff surge. Share and repost before it's too late. On April 28, 2025, President Trump's executive order enforcing strict English proficiency for commercial drivers combined with rising tariffs could trigger a domino effect unlike we've ever seen before. 350,000 truckers are at risk of losing their livelihoods. These aren't just numbers. Truckers are responsible for moving everything from food to fuel and medical supplies to electronics. Without them, the entire supply chain is in serious trouble. But that's not all. Rising tariffs on goods from overseas and slowing shipping are already putting a squeeze on the flow of products into the country. This double blow could mean more than just a temporary inconvenience. The consequences are real and they're coming. So here's what we could be looking at. Food shortages. No trucks mean no fresh food. Shelves empty fast. Milk, eggs, bread, gone. Without international shipping, also slowing, even canned goods could vanish. Prepare now or go without. Fuel shortages. Gas stations run dry. No deliveries means no fuel. Prices skyrocket as demand outpaces supply, especially with rising tariffs on imported oil. Supply chain breakdown. From medicine to electronics, supplies stop flowing. Stores close, factories halt. With imports crawling and trucks parked, shortages hit every sector. Rising cost. Everything gets more expensive. Food, fuel, essentials to live. Fewer drivers and new tariffs mean prices surge and your paycheck buys less and less every week. Unrest. Empty shelves and rising costs could spark chaos. People get desperate, fights break out, riots grow, one slip and things spiral. Long-term fallout. This isn't a quick fix. The economy slows, shortages drag on, costs rise, and daily life gets harder for everyone.
I just got off the phone with my cousin. We talk once a week, maybe twice a week, a couple hours. And she works. She's a manager in the grocery store sector, right? She's been doing it a long time. And what she's telling me is that I'm trying to let you guys know because people that are acting delulu, they don't want to know, or, you know, they're not listening, or some people, I don't know, but she's saying how they're running out of certain things. Milk, I believe she said cucumbers. She said, I knew these things are gone. Bell peppers, you know, they're getting in, their trucks are coming in half. Just things, that's just enough for me. And she's like, even people that work at the store with her, and she's like, you guys better be stocking up. And they're like, oh, it's gonna be okay, or they just don't want to know. I mean, they're there working, seeing the same.
I'll be right back.
And it was just interesting to me, so I'm sharing that with you guys. I mean, it's one thing that, you know, the people, I don't want to say they, because I can't think of a name right now, but the people on the in the news and all that are saying this, that, you know, we lost our allies as ships, people in the shipyard said ships are coming in like 38% less shipment, and the tariffs kick in this week, and the things that are going to happen is one thing to hear them say, and I'm giving you information from someone who was in the industry, who was in the grocery store at least 5 days a week, and their shipments are coming in shorter, and they're running out of things. Go stock up, get you some non-perishables. I went to Costco, I got a lot.
So I'm at my local Target in Florida right now. I had to grab a couple things. I just wanted to see if there was any shortages here, and I need to show you guys. There is definitely some shortages going on because this aisle is used. Like I said, this area is usually always packed, and there's multiple shelves that are completely empty. Like, just wow. I'm actually surprised.
she posted this yesterday. This is happening at so many stores. When I was saying something 2 weeks ago, people said I was fear-mongering. But I was saying I'm seeing a difference. Because usually when I go to my local store, I haven't been to Target in 2 months because I'm still boycotting. Like when I'm going to other stores where they put the fruits and the bananas, you're seeing the plastic cart. Usually there's so much fruit and everything else that you never see that. So this is showing you that, you know, toiletries, paper towels, things like that, cold medicine, things that you need, they're, you know, people are buying out. You know, people are stocking up and getting ready for what's to come.
I'm surprised by this because this Target is always stocked, and the only time I don't see it stocked is when I come super early in the morning and they're like actively stocking it. So yeah, interesting. This aisle isn't like too bad. There's only like some spots where there's not really much, but.
Alright, so this is for my drivers, right? I work LTL, right? So I pretty much pick up from a terminal and drop it off at another terminal. That's pretty much my job, right? Now, people that do that type of work, where you're bouncing from one terminal to another terminal, are your trailers super light? Has it kicked in yet? Are you guys noticing yet? Right? I've been working for about a year and change, and we never used to get dispatched with a trailer under 28,000 pounds. This week alone, I have not gotten a trailer over, we haven't been dispatched with a trailer over 22,000 pounds. I mean, am I tripping or what? Is it just me or what's going on?
Nope, it's not you, bro.
It ain't.
It's happening to a lot of people in the trucking industry. People need to wake up. These are the people who supply us with food and textiles and, you know, toiletries and all that stuff. So if they're getting a shortage on their end, imagine what we're going to get when it comes to the store.
I picked up a truck driver yesterday here in the Fort Lauderdale metro area for one of the truck stops where they park their trucks, and actually took him home. And so I always talk to all of my riders normally, and so I'm asking him about how is the trucking business, how is it looking, what's going on. And he said it's getting scary, that he was already having trouble booking rides that he normally would do to loads to take from the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area to other parts of the country. 2 large ports here. The Port of Miami is super large. Port Everglades, which is Fort Lauderdale, is smaller on the cargo, but still it's a large port when it comes to cargo. And he's saying that he's having trouble picking up loads out of the port and taking other parts of the country from here. And I said, well, what's going on? And he says, well, it's got to be the tariffs, and that they are importing, receiving fewer containers, fewer goods in the ports, and it is trickling down to the truckers, which means there's less business for the truckers. And so for all of my truckers out there, I'm interested to hear what you're seeing. I'm interested to hear what you're experiencing right now. And, you know, I won't ask who you voted for, but I can guess, you know, however you want to vote. I'm sure this is not something that you voted for. You do not expect a trade war that would impact your trucking business and you to be able to have business, to be able to feed yourself and your family. But it is impacting you. This is going to impact the amount of goods that we're going to see in stores. It's going to impact stores' abilities to sell, which is going to impact the number of people that are going to need to keep as employees in those stores or the hours that you have. Expect further cuts as this continues to start trickling down through all of the economy in the United States, and it's going to slow things down.
Another worst week for the trucking industry. I'm actually sitting in Seattle, Washington right now without a load. I don't have no load right now. I dropped my load 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's already 1 o'clock that I'm sitting here waiting for the load. A lot of people been asking me, is it gonna get fixed? Is it gonna get better? I have no fucking clue what is gonna happen, because day by day it's getting worse and worse. I have no clue. I haven't seen trucking industry like this in the past 10 years. This is the worst year for the trucking industry.
He said he hasn't seen it this bad in the past 10 years. We had COVID not even 5 years ago. So if he's saying that it's this bad now, and summer's not even here yet, this is crazy.
That's worse year. And when I came to the truck stop, I reserved a shower. There were 23 people in front of me in the line. 23 people. It's been 4 hours. I'm waiting for the shower, and they still 3 people ahead of me. Still. So you can imagine that how many people are sitting at this truck stop without a load. All the truck drivers, we have nothing else to do besides taking shower all day. Pray for everybody. Stay safe on the road.
Trucking has completely went flat bottom, man. I can honestly tell you these past 3 weeks, this is including the 3rd week that I'm in right now, you get a few runs here and there. I'm in Chicago, right? And it's getting bad. You know, I don't know, what do you tell your drivers, right? Just give them the whole concept of be patient. Obviously, watching the news, I'm not only a truck driver, I own trucks. I got drivers, man, you know? I don't know what else to say or do. Obviously, Trump is doing what he needs to do, right? On paper, it looks good. It looks right. But we're going to have to try to weather the tide, you know what I'm saying? But, man, I mean, it's getting bad, right? And I know a lot of people in other businesses that are complaining, right? Everybody's watching the news, waiting for this whole situation to die down with this whole tariff thing back and forth. And I don't see no end in sight. I know some of my guys that are owner-operators, a lot of them gave up not having a plan in place after they quit. And they just say, hey, I'm going to wing it. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But, man, me personally, my advice to anybody, it doesn't matter if you're a truck driver now. Whatever you're doing for a living and you don't want to do that no more, find you another source of income before you quit. Never quit until you have another option, right? You're going to quit and just sit there and wait. What are you going to do? My advice, man, do not quit something until you have something in line, ready to go.
Things you didn't know were manufactured in China or other parts of Asia and imported to the U.S. Toothpaste tubes. Many major brands like Colgate manufacture their toothpaste in the United States, but source their packaging from China, like the tubes and the caps, diapers, and sanitary products. For example, Pampers specifically, while they have a factory in the US, many of the components of the diapers, like the adhesive, even the lining and the packaging is imported. Number 3 is eyeglasses and contacts. Eyeglass frames specifically, 80 to 90% of them sold in the United States are imported from China or other Asian countries. Next is pet food. Over 95% of pet food in the United States is manufactured domestically. However, the ingredients, especially amino acids, vitamins, minerals, you guessed it, imported from China. Not only that, but the foil plastic packaging used to store dry pet food is imported from China. So technically it's made in America, but all the ingredients are coming from China. Shocking. Okay, one more. Made in America candles. Basically, the brands get like the glass jars, the wicks, the fragrance oils, and then they pour the wax into the jars. Bam, made in America. All about to find out. Things you didn't know were manufactured in China.
What a lot of people don't realize is that it's the intricate parts that are coming from China. A lot of things, all the little pieces that we were talking about, the lady who was talking about, you know, she had her own gaming company, she sold her own board games, those little intricate pieces come from China. A lot of things come from China and then they get assembled here in America, so it's made to feel like this is an American product, it's made over here, but like she said, the linings and the bits and pieces, you know, the certain bags, the toothpaste tubes, all of that stuff comes from China. Okay, so it's crazy. We have a bigger connection to China than people really realize.
We have some late breaking news right now. The United States is on an economic crisis as the supply chain issues from Donald Trump's tariffs. I repeat, Trump's tariffs are really hurting the United States right now. The executive director of the Port of Los Angeles spoke to CNN last week and said that 35% down are the imports coming into America. I have the report right here in terms of shipments. 80 ships were supposed to arrive in the port of LA. 20% have canceled, and the numbers are only going to rise for June. According to Soroka, 13 shipments have already canceled for the month of June, and we're still 3 weeks away. And China's imports are at 50% less than they were last year. So you know what? The stores, the shelves,
So prices are going to go up because of the tariffs, right? But the bigger problem is that prices may never come down even if the tariffs are taken away. So the reason why everything is so expensive even right now is because of COVID, and because the supply chain disruptions caused the demand to spike, but there wasn't enough supply. Retailers and distributors had to raise prices essentially to offset some of their losses. Now what should have happened is prices should have slowly come down as the supply chains got back up and running again, which they totally have, right? That happened like 2 years ago. But what do we see? The retailers, after they inflated the prices, they're like, actually, we like these higher prices, and we're not going to bring them down as much as we should have really done. So effectively, the same thing is going to happen with these tariffs. Prices go up because of the tariff reason, but let's say that the tariffs get taken away, and technically these retailers don't have to pay anymore. They're still going to keep those prices high, or at least reduce them not as much as they really should, and everyone suffers. So price...
Again, corporate greed. Corporate
Yep,
greed strikes
old-fashioned
again. I
corporate
definitely believe
greed.
that. And I also believe that a lot of companies who
Damn
may not really
shame.
be as super affected by the tariffs will make sure they tack on some extra little fees and prices
Yep.
in there, just so they can
They
benefit from
will.
all the, the tariff hysteria that's going
They
on.
will.
Does Donald Trump realize that he is affecting Los Angeles and the economy? The LA ports have had a decrease of cargo shipments by nearly 35%. This affects dock workers, it affects truckers, it affects the whole supply chain, and it comes back to the consumer because it is a tax on us. And Brad Sherman, I still don't know why you would agree with Trump on his tariff policy. You said it yourself. I will fight for our 32nd district, and we will not support these tariff policies. Let's go.
Let me tell you how bad it is right now. The economy is so bad right now due to, Trump's tariffs. Obviously, he's trying to prove a point to these other countries. It is what it is. But let's get back to the subject, right? I do intermodal trucking, right? Usually, they'll come on the train, they'll put them on chassis, they'll park them, and then we grab them. But the work is not coming in as it usually does. What's happening is it comes on the train, we're going to grab them right away due to the flow not coming in the way it usually does. Now, usually we'll get the effect as drivers, semi-trucks, we'll feel the effect before the consumer feels the effect. And that's what's happening right now. How long is this tariff situation going to go back and forth between Trump and these other countries? Obviously, he's trying to prove a point. They're trying to prove a point. But at the end of the day, regardless of how high these tariffs get to, obviously the manufacturer is going to pay for it. But at the end of the day, they are going to charge it back to us as consumers when we buy products and stuff like that. Hopefully this situation ends rather sooner than later, because unfortunately if it stays the way it is while they keep on upping the ante on each other, it's going to get bad.
It's time to speak up. Have you heard the phrase tariff trucking apocalypse yet? Because it's not just a dramatic headline, it's happening right now. Container imports to the United States just dropped 64% in a single month. You heard that right. And this time it's not from a global pandemic. It's policy induced. New tariffs, especially on goods that come from China, have created shockwaves. Importers are pulling back cargo ships. They're just not coming. They're not coming to land in our ports. And port traffic is slowing to a crawl. Guess who suffers? Port workers with fewer shifts, truckers with no containers to haul, warehouse employees who are having shifts cut, rail freight workers who have nothing to load, and small business drivers who are drowning in the debt from rigs they can't keep busy. During COVID, we saw reduced numbers of cargo ships coming to our ports. But in April of this year, we had more ships abandon our ports than we did at the height of COVID. And what's worse, this time, the pain to the American economy, it's deliberate. We're bleeding jobs and calling it patriotism. And while politicians brag on being tough about countries who are unfair to us in trade, Americans are the ones paying the price.
Yep.
At the pump, at the grocery store, and with the pink slips. And if you care about working class families, truckers, food prices, you need to care about tariffs. Because the shipping slowdown isn't just global, it's local.
Yeah.
And it's already here.
Yeah.
Go love your neighbor.
Wow, she spoke a lot of truth. She's not lying. This is going to affect everyone. You know what I'm saying? When it's said and done. And yes, if you have money, if you're well off, it may not hurt as much. But again, like she said, love your neighbor. You have to think about other people who may not be in that same situation financially, you know what I'm saying, and how it's going to affect them. So it's just really sad, everything that's going on right now in the industry in general. But again, a lot of the truckers, the dock workers, and the warehouse employees are definitely feeling it. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. So I wanted to do an update and show you guys what's happening this week as far as the supply chain and the truckers and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit this video with a like. Feel free to share the video.